Welcome back to Riled Up. I'm Dan.
And I'm Andrew, a player.
I'm a collector. And boy, is it a good time to be a collector. It is.
That it
What
is.
a week. What a week. We got buyouts. We've got a lot of new people in the market. So, a lot of positivity. But is there anything this week that's riling you up?
I think the main thing that's rallying me up this week is the prices. I can't wrap my head around it, mostly because I've lived through the Mon to 1K bullshit, and now it feels more real, you know? There's not like a fake thing happening, like these boxes aren't just disappearing for no reason. So it's gonna it's definitely a good time to be already bought into this game because the shit is expensive if you are new.
Yeah. Yeah. I wouldn't even say expensive compared to other games, but definitely expensive for if you've been in Fab for a couple years. So
Yeah, like I mean, if you started playing the game today, I was reading an article by Scott Howling Mines, right? And that's his name on TCG Player, and I was reading through his article on Arachne, and it's just crazy to me that it's like, oh, you're a new player, you want to build this deck, whammo, here's $1,600 in cards for your TCG Player cart. It's it's just a little crazy to me. This is like the cost of a legacy MTG deck for real.
well, I mean, 1600 was the average of a Flesh and Blood competitive deck 3 years ago, I believe. I don't know if we ever pulled up the numbers on it. Someone did a big thing on it a few years ago because people were like, "Oh, Fab's too expensive," and they're like, "It's not expensive. Look, the decks are only $1,600," and people were like, "Oh yeah, prices are back down to 1,600. This is great." And then they settled to about 1,000 like a year or so ago, and now
Wait, how
yeah,
many years ago did you say that was?
what for the 1,600 was
Yeah.
like 3 years ago, I think. Three.
I was gonna say I was just searching through the selling history in Purple Discord, because someone had mentioned the price of a cold foil Shiana like way back. And if you search, there is a cold foil 9.5 graded Shiana that somebody listed wanting 8,000 euros for it. And it's from 3 years ago. And the person in Wall Street was saying, oh, I think it was 3K or whatever. And maybe that's what it was raw or something, but the prices were hella inflated.
Yeah, things were real wild then. I mean, it was the whole market issue, not just Flesh and Blood. Like all trading cards, I think were pretty inflated during that time period. But now
So are they
we're
still inflated or is this one real? I feel like this feels more real, honestly, because like cards like Codex of Frailty being $100 really seems real to me. Because like if you want to play any assassin, if you want to play Azalea, you need all the disruption you can get. Otherwise, why aren't you just playing red cards with fours on them as Syndra?
yeah, I think we're finally getting to where like I don't know with the investors, and I'm expecting a bit more pump before we settle, but because I mean we're just seeing boxes be completely bought out. I mean Dynasty's completely bought out. A bunch of cases
Uh,
disappeared. I remember tracking. Oh, I was messaging you. I was like, oh, some guy just bought, or someone just bought. It looked like three or four
I mean, I
cases
wouldn't
of every
say
set.
completely
Yeah.
bought out. It's more just like bought to a price that most people wouldn't want to drop. Like for the price of a case of Outsiders, you could like right now you could get like a case or two cases of like heavy hitters probably, and I'd much rather get m- a few more boxes than just open Outsiders by itself. Not that I don't love Outsiders, but I mean, I already got all the stuff that I wanted out of that. And if you don't hit like Marble Frailty, you're not really. I mean, it's definitely better now. I mean, I opened four cases of it back in the day, and then it was like one of the worst cases of all time. And I went through my bulk Majestics, and there's so many cards that I just never really looked at again because nobody was playing them. They were worth nothing. I have like 10 copies of Infiltrate that is all of a sudden a $5 card, and it was nothing.
Yeah,
I've got a half dozen copies of Concealed Blade. Same story for Flick or Stab Wound and all these other cards that like Redline Syndra isn't even playing, but they're still getting a little bit of a pump because people like me are building those decks because I'm mentioning all these cards because they're cards I didn't have to buy because I already had them and I wanted to play them in Syndra myself.
yeah. I need to get my stuff into, like, I have my vault, and only about 2/3 of it's in my inventory system. I've been really slacking on getting them added in, and I was just like flipping through them. I'm like, oh, this is $5 now. This is a couple dollars now. Like all like things I've been keeping in there to sell. I just need to take some time. I mean, I've been on my bulk grind, but I think it's time to probably liquidate some singles. Pretty
I think
excited
it's
about
a
it.
I honestly, so speaking of these singles prices, uh I really used to love watching MST.TV on Yu-Gi-Oh YouTube, and they would always talk about like grab these cards before XYZ came out or whatever. Like they're not like no people aren't really buying them right now. And I wanted to point out cards like Lava Burst, which it's already too late for Lava Burst, but that is a common from Uprising that has the rainbow foil Lava Burst is $10 now, and it is a foil common. So I was actually looking at like what are some other sleeper cards. Like right now, Winter's Bite Blue is not a sleeper card. People do kind of know about it. It's still already like $4 for the rainbow foil. But Jarl has not even begun to Jarl. There's a whole Guardian Mastery pack coming out, and Winter's Bite Blue is probably going to go back to $10 because I think whenever it was like Icelander and Oldhim using it, the foil was $10 at the time. And also, there's a few other cards that if you just look at deck lists on Fab's site, you know, Mulch. That's a pretty interesting card that showed up in one of the lists. You get a rainbow foil for $1. There's Earthlore Surge Blue, which is actually a rare. The foil is only 25 cents. But if Jarl continues to use these cards in topping lists, the foils will not stay 25 cents. So, just food for thought. At least I don't think they will stay 25 cents.
Yeah, I mean, I had a pretty good go. What was it, Aether Quickening? Or wait, no, which one was it? One with the book, where it's just a Wizard of the Big Book. Oh shoot, let me pull up my spreadsheet. But that was like an
Dome of Aetherwind?
No, no, not a tomb. It was like Aether something. Oh, we're crying out loud.
Mm.
Sorry, I froze you.
Oh, could you drag something over my face?
Yeah, I forget. I have it set so that Windows open wherever my mouse is and whichever monitor I'm in, and then sometimes I forget, and then like opened up something, and then yeah, covered over you, but it's not even opening. It's not up again. What is going on?
But yeah, I was really surprised about the lava burst thing because we already know that like if you go back and look at like Fate for Scenes and Sync Belows, those rainbow foils are expensive. But now we're starting to see, oh, Syndra's a top deck, and one of the key cards, Lava Burst, which is just like a real banger, 5 for nothing, blocks 3. It's a crazy good card. 100% of lists should run 3 of it. Like it doesn't matter if you're playing Redline Syndra or your own homebrew Syndra, like you probably are playing Lava Burst. It's like one of the most no-brainer cards, and that's why the rainbow foils are bought up to $10.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it a bit last week. I've been seeing a lot of early blinging, I'll call it. The blinging is nigh. Tons of foils are getting sent out. Even weird cold foils are selling. Like
Well, I
my stubbies all sold. Someone bought every one of I had. Like,
well,
I mean,
Fi got a little bit of a boost with this set, so now a Living Legend Stubby Fi can be a real menace in skirmish season, I bet.
yeah. And Starfall will. Those are $11 a pop now. I didn't realize they jumped up that high. But
The
who?
Cold Foil Starfall?
Yeah.
I thought that didn't I buy one off of you? I thought that they'd been like
Oh,
$10.
really? I don't know. They just kind of,
Yeah.
if a card sits and doesn't sell, like not even the non-foils sell, like for
Well,
Starfalls.
it is just a token, so I mean, a lot of people have it.
You say that, but tokens are probably my favorite bread and butter cards to sell. I
Well, I
would.
mean, it could be that if a set doesn't sell its tokens, then that was a set that introduced more people to the game. Because I mean, you said some of the most tokens you've sold are from outsiders.
Oh yeah, I'm always like happy to see outsider ones. I mean, and the heroes sell for a decent amount. Like you sometimes get 50 cents for a hero token. I'm like, okay. Yeah.
Which many people will really bemoan. They'll be like, "I want to get my adult hero," which, you know, I have really good luck opening boxes, but within like 6 boxes of cards, I still have not gotten an adult Fang out of the hunted, and I'm fine with it. I just, gotta buy a single at some point. Uh, I don't understand why people are so adverse to like spending $1. Like even if you just like the one card, like if you want to play Fang and you didn't pull Fang, like we're not asking you to buy Savor Bloodshed for $20, just I think it's a really
Yeah.
simple solution for them, like moving the adult hero into the M expansion slot, so it's not in the way for draft and sealed and all that stuff. Is just it makes more sense because you need to have enough tokens so that everybody gets what they need within that box. There can't be 18 different tokens in the token slots.
I mean, well, I don't know about that. Like the addition of heroes would add what, two more cards, and most of the token numbers in recent sets, like it's not Welcome to Wrath or Arcane Rising where you've got like almost 50 different token combinations. You look at even the Hunted. I think the Hunted only had 12 12 12 tokens.
Well, the hunted cut down, like they don't have like the reverse side of the weapons, which
Oh
I'm not sure
yeah.
when they started doing that. And before we get too far away from the blingening, I did want to mention that it seems to be all the 2.0 sets. Because, like, man, Victor is not even a popular deck, but I was like, oh, I want to go and grab my foil Golden Suns. And, like, they're $8, and nobody plays that deck. So, like, or they might even be more than that. Hold on, let me make sure
Yeah.
I'm not.
Oh, it's Aether Quickening is the one I was thinking of. Red Aether Quickening foils. I mean, it's a common $5. Like, love to see it.
Oh, okay, it looks like there's a $6 one, and then they go up a little bit more. But I still think that that's still a lot for a card that nobody who is like almost nobody's buying that card. So many people are on Syndra and Arachne and much other popular heroes, and it's still a $6 card. I don't know.
I don't know. I think sometimes you get too like competitive pilled. I don't know. Like the idea of commoner decks, blitz decks. Like I'll send you a list. I'm like, oh, I think someone bought a deck here, and you're like, no, they're just including a collection. But I'm like, I don't know. Like that
Well,
one
see,
looks like
the problem is that nobody around me actually plays like that, and I would love if they did, but like if there are people doing that, they're not talking online very much. Well, I mean, maybe it's sort of like a cause and effect type of thing where it's like they wouldn't talk about it because the people online would just tell them that their decks suck or something like that,
yeah.
which
I
is
think
very
it's
valid now that I start thinking about it.
Yeah, I
because
think
the
it's the casuals.
internet just sucks.
It
Because
does
like
suck.
that's what I try to keep the attitude of, like, whenever people want to play the game and then they're like, well, I gotta buy this and I gotta buy this, and then you put out the article that says buy your Arachne Marionette singles for a $1,600 deck, and then people tell you don't even bother doing this, that, or the other thing because those cards suck. So like I could see why I've maybe never heard people talk about it, because you don't want to just like immediately get hit with negativity, especially when you know it's going to happen online. But I mean, I think the game is fun whether you spent, $5 on a card or 5 cents on a card. Like, the mechanics are the same as long as you are building decks that are v- similar in strength and playing them against each other. I see no reason why you can't have just as much fun.
Yeah, and I think Commoner's just really blowing up, which maybe people didn't see coming. I think it has to be Commoner because I mean you can get a $20 deck. It's very. I mean you can still have fun. Just two dudes, two $20 decks. Because I mean I'm just seeing cards selling wide array. Did you see how many unique cards I sold this week?
So I'm looking, and like I didn't realize how far down it. Well, you've never sent me one this long. You've never sent me
No,
one. You've never sent me one. Jesus Christ! You haven't never sent me one a fifth that long.
right.
You
Yeah, it was a crazy week. I've had
you
zero.
didn't just all of a sudden get better at business. What the fuck? This is insane.
Yeah, I mean, I've been doing better about uploading bulk, but I mean, not that much better. Like,
No,
I
I
don't
mean you
know.
actually like moved a
Yeah, it's like
lot of cards.
yeah, it's like 1,400 cards, 494 unique cards. Like,
Yeah, I mean, I looked. I I love that you sold. I could see the big numbers, and as soon as I look, it's like 13 Pummel Red, 11 Scar for a Scar Red, 12 Snapdragon Scalers, 14 Wounded Bull Red. Yeah,
the
it
Ravenous
was.
Rabbles have been printing money too.
Oh,
Actually, no.
Ravenous.
Yeah, well, because it's in what 3 sets now, I think. Like,
Yeah, but it doesn't
and
matter
they
because it's all sets that all these players have never played through. That's the
right.
thing that gets crazy whenever you start telling people no, just buy singles, and then it's like, well, there's only so many people left online even selling these things and listing them, and if people are willing to start paying $2 $3 and more and more and more for a good red card, even though it's common,
Yeah.
that's free tendies that I don't think a lot of people are going to try and race to the bottom on.
I loved the 15 spiders bites. I was like, because I've got hundreds of them. Like, I was so happy. I'm not sure why spiders bite was selling the way it is, but I'll take it. The
And
null rune was crazy too. No,
the best part is that it's like these, there's no way, like, what was your biggest order?
for what spider bites?
No, your biggest
Or
order for like all, like, multiple cards in one order.
oh, they've definitely been averaging much bigger, but I think the biggest was 87 cards.
Yeah, I mean that's still.
Yeah, I've
So I
actually
mean
been doing a
you still
lot.
had like 140 orders, something like that.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. It's been good. It's a good time to be a sales guy and fat.
Yeah, man, I'm really happy for you. That's crazy. I mean, that's awesome because like it's such a good sign for the game. I'm glad to know. I mean, because I don't even you've been doing nothing but buying bulk, really. Like, even even the boxes you open, you just sell the good shit to me most of the time. Uh, I mean, this is wild. This is awesome.
Yeah, I was just really excited. I was like to see such a wide range. Though it sucks to pack orders because I got to pull from like 16 different boxes. But like, I don't know. I mean, I feel like health wise, it's just never been better. Like, it's just a
I love
good sign to see.
I love how there's somebody in here that they're like, yeah, give me those seeds of agony, red, blue, and yellow seeds of agony, because they're gonna make their chain commoner deck or something. This is absolutely all kinds of commoner decks. This is, I mean, you got all these hit and runs. I'm finally starting to see sales that make sense to me. You know how many times we've talked and I've been like, I don't know who in the fuck is buying this, right? But now I'm seeing all this stuff that is like all this makes sense. Like these are orders that these absolutely look like people building decks and doing commoner stuff or even clash stuff. That's a fan format that seems pretty good to me. Because at least for me, commoner is like a little restrictive. I love playing with the high power cards. There's plenty of good common cards, but Clash allows you to play specializations and rares or something, and they have their own ban list that they take care of. I really don't know that much about it, but that I would probably try and play that and commoner. If people wanted to play that, because when you see a deck cost $1,600, I mean, man, maybe you want to buy it a little bit at a time and take things slow, but it would still be cool to be able to just go to Armory and play commoner while you're saving up or while you're getting a piece at a time or just getting packs on entry and hoping to pull what you need.
Yeah, and the other thing I like is just there's sales from every single set. It's not, and it's spread pretty evenly. Well, today alone, Bright Lights blew up huge, which we'll get to. Because almost
But
all
some
these
other
bright,
news.
yeah, for almost all these Bright Light sales were this morning, all on the same day.
Yeah, there's a lot
So
of boom grenades here, some dissolving shields. Yeah. Which I did want to really point out how good Null Time Zone is. Because everybody thought Dash IO was dead after the banning of High Octane, but now she's showing that she can come back with Null Time Zone, and it's amazing how good the card is. It's because it's I mean, I've already talked about how I find it funny that it's Dio and she has a
yeah,
time stop power for like Zawarudo. And the fact that that card really single-handedly wins games is amazing. Because it's just like you go up against an Enigma that's like, oh, I'm going to transcend. And it's like, okay, well, at instant speed, I'm going to rip this null time zone off the top of the deck and I'm going to say chi. Have fun just IPing yourself with that chi in your hand now.
yeah. Because I mean, we look back at Red Dead Nationals week one. There was only a single Dash IO, but let me pull up week two here, and five. Right? I mean, really, really cranking those numbers up. No, I don't know. I think that with this many heroes, some people are kind of like bouncing week to week, playing different people. Like we saw Brody going between like Syndra and Viscerai. Um,
Well, that's
I
always
think
been the
that's
cool thing about Flesh and Blood is that if you're good at it, then there's a few decks you can pick from. I mean, you can see how many actually won. So, I mean, you get reps on something and understand how to navigate the matchups that you come up against, and you can take it to the house.
yeah, and I think a lot of it also has to do with. I think sideboarding is going to come back as a problem. And we kind of talked about it a bit offline, but I think there just wasn't this many meta decks available. I really think like it's hard. I mean, so the idea behind the sideboard and having a limited sideboard is you've got to keep up with the meta. So like, oh, well, these are going to be like the top five decks I'm probably going to run into. I want to sideboard against these, prepare, or not even necessarily a specific deck, but I know a deck archetype, right? So like, if someone's got like CYB or whatever life gain, then you got your poison the wells for that whole swatch of cards. But when you've got 20-ish heroes all in the meta, I don't think this is easy to do. I'm not confident that sideboard alone is enough. And so that's why I'm wondering if we're going to see more people bounce between a bunch of different heroes to kind of
I
navigate
think
that or mix it up. Yeah.
I think that the sideboard should be like where it is. I think the only hero that is really punished by not having a sideboard that is bigger is Olympia, and that's because they basically made a whole mechanic about how he fills up his sideboard with extra pieces of equipment so that he can guard with more pieces of equipment throughout the game, but it makes it so that he can't tech for any matchup. So I mean, on one hand, the inventory definitely is a problem for one specific hero that I will concede that point to. But in general, I think that if you look at the top decks and you say, okay, what am I going to do against Viserai? What am I going to do against Syndra? What am I going to do against New, Aurora, and Arachne? You know, maybe you think about Prism and Enigma too, because they're very specific, and you know that there's enough of them that they could ruin your day if you did end up into one unprepared. So you make your choices based on the type of decks that you think that you need to tech against. But then, like, if Enigma and Prism are all around, um, and your deck can't race them or handle them in some other way, then you need to have like some kind of way to deal with their damage production or protection, or being able to get extra action points in certain situations against Prism. um but you're not necessarily going to have something if you run into a KO, armed and dangerous, and you're like, okay, well, I don't have anything special for him, so I'll just play my normal deck. And you didn't pack a balance of justice because you didn't think that you were going to run into any berserk or blood rush bellows. You didn't bring your hold the lines. Um so and you've got a bad matchup into KO. I personally think that either Dan is dragging something over my face, or okay, yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
It
I guess
always
you're
make
taking a screenshot. Yeah.
and well, it always makes me think that my internet might be going out.
Oh,
But if you bring a dark horse hero to a tournament and are skilled enough to pilot it through these other heroes that many other good players decided was a better deck, why don't you deserve to be rewarded for playing a dark horse and making things more versatile or diverse? Like it if you're playing KO and you're the only KO in the room out of 300 people and you make it into the top 8 and nobody has any kind of hate for you, you just deserve to win if you can win it.
yeah. I mean, I can see it to an extent. I don't know. I'm just. I think that the balancing is good right now, and we're gonna probably see what at least seven more heroes. Or no, actually no, probably what 10 more heroes this year. I would guess maybe.
Um I really think that they might reuse some heroes again. Um 'Cause I want to get into what we think Smash Palace is, but I don't want to get too far ahead. I think I think we'll probably see a few bleh, hero reuses. Because
I
in
I don't know.
Outsiders, they brought back Benji, they brought back Katsu, and they brought back Azalea, and oh, okay, yeah, that was it. They just brought back those three, and I don't think that they've done that in any other sets. Or no, they did in Heavy Hitters because they brought back Reinar. Um, so I mean, yeah, I think we're due another one. They don't always do. I mean, we've had Rosetta and Mysteria. So that's at least 7 new heroes. Uh, not counting Victor, Betsy, Olympia, KO, Armed and Dangerous. I mean, we've had so many new heroes. I mean, aside from the fact that High Seas really feels like it might be literally pirate themed, uh I feel like we could get a retrain of somebody in a pirate theme, maybe.
Well, yeah, and that's kind of what I mean. I mean, not necessarily like new heroes, but like like a different like we got a different Ira, we got a different KO, we got a different. Well, I guess it wasn't a different KO; it was an adult KO. But um, I don't know. Between promos, decks, and sets, we've got a decent amount coming in, and we were talking about Dev Talk 11, and they're actually let me bring up. I'm just gonna took a screenshot of the Living Legends. They're estimating 8 heroes out this year. I don't think they realized how healthy of a meta they were going to end up with. Um, why
I
did
mean,
this
we're
have
gonna
estimate?
lose Viserai. I don't know if we'll lose Dash IE or not. Nobody really seems to play her. I could see we'll lose Zen because he'll just go. I could see New maybe going. Yeah, man, I don't really know. It's not
One
like
second. Wait.
Bravo's gonna go. I don't.
Yeah, sorry. I got it. I don't understand what happened. I don't. Uh, sorry. Everything's just gone. The background just disappeared completely.
Well,
Well,
it's
heck,
because
whatever.
it's a really good program. Yeah, no, anyway, so we've got Zen, Dash, Viserai are the 900 heroes. I know that Viserai and Zen will go. I feel like Dash could go if people would play her, but people just don't play her whenever it's probably like more fun to play Dash IO, to be honest. You're still
Yeah,
trying very hard to fix the scene.
I'm so mad about it. I'm so mad about it.
You don't even play Fab, but you tilt so well.
I don't even remember what background I had. Uh, well, time for a new background.
Well, that's fine. You know what I love? That Katsu the Wanderer has 655 living legend points, and he's just never going to get a living legend point again. Every time they print a ninja, he is outclassed. A Pulsive Volt Haven.
Okay, then let me turn this image back on.
Live, I
Gee.
would love if there's a pirate talent. I want a pirate talent.
There has to be. Do you think they'll do pirate talent or class? I
I think it's a talent, not a class. It's either in my opinion, it's in my guess is going to be it's going to be a talent or nothing. Like, and by nothing I mean just a theme, not like written on a card.
yeah, I just don't know. I mean, like, because I feel like Ninja could have been broken up, though. Maybe that's just like some hindsight. Like, yeah, you just can't have pirates and not have, or we can't have ninjas and then not have pirates be a class. I don't know. It's just the fundamental, the two natural enemies. Uh,
Well, I mean, we don't have zombies or robots per se yet. I mean, we've got the Mecropotent, so I mean, I guess there is some amount of robots in metrics.
and those
Uh,
Runeblood, or the illusionists, there's a lot of undead things.
there's a lot of things that look undead, but we don't have anybody that's like, the necromancer yet. But see, that is what people do keep talking about the necromancer. They want it to show up so bad. And I actually, funnily enough, do think that it's a good time specifically because of the whole ninja pirate zombie robot thing.
Yeah, I don't see necromancer because they don't specialize the wizards. It seems So like
No,
I
but they
think
could just make like a shadow illusionist or freaking chaos illusionist, which we seem to have just seen in all these stories with the dust runners. Like,
oh yeah, I think we'll get the concept of a necromancer, but I don't think it'll be called necromancer. I think they're gonna do their little tomfoolery to I don't know. Like
I think that
we
we
all want
might, if they're gonna make a necromancer, I think that we could get like blue weapon allies or something like that, so that they could have like, well, I guess I don't know how. I would have to look at how that Rotten Remains is worded, because my point would be that wow, that card's $8 now. That's funny. I love when generic blue block threes are like cash money. Which, speaking of, that's why I was always saying so much about Relentless Pursuit being a special. That foil would probably be expensive. So this attacks, you may banish a card with 1 power from each hero's graveyard. Okay, so that would include an ally with 1 power. Oh yeah, they definitely could do sync cards, because I mean, sync below is a wizard, not necessarily going into the water, but the Trench of Sunken Treasure, sunken treasure, and it makes you sink the card from your arsenal to gain a resource. I mean, I don't think it's that much of a reach to think that putting a card on the bottom of your deck is going to be a theme.
yeah, I have some concerns about the nautical theme because of maybe it's just like I never played through all the car sets. And we're in what Tokyo Aether Drift right now, like with Magic the Gathering. But like I don't want it to be a ship game, right? Like I'm hoping the nautical themes will pertain more to things like the sinking or like booty or treasure and stuff.
Well, I don't think that boats
It's
really have a place in the. So this game has always been like a fighting game. Like, unless it's like a canoe or something that it's like you can start with like it would have to be extremely ridiculous, and then at that point I don't think it would be in the game. Um in my mind, I think there should be ships somewhere, and that somewhere should be the Fable. I think the ship could
you're
be a Fable. I'm
you're
very
the
obsessed
fable.
with that idea. I don't care because it is high seas. There's clearly a boat. I mean, the last like Tales of Aria has Korshem in the art, and now we get high seas, and there's a big friggin' boat in the art. Like the boat could very easily be the Fable.
They could. I don't. Yeah, I just don't know if they would consider it as a boat as like legendary location. I mean, I guess they could if it's a big
I,
boat.
I mean, you
Uh,
cannot tell me that like where are you right now? I'm on a boat. That is a location.
well, I mean, yeah. I don't know. Well, I really want treasure, like a cursed doubloon or something, or I don't know. I feel like there's so much treasure potential and a gem. I mean, it's treasure. It's got to be merchants and pirates. That's my fingers crossed. Like, because they do seem to be going kind of like factiony based with the recent sets. Rosetta, Earth, Lightning, Hunted, Huntered, the Hunted and the Hunters, and this. It just makes sense in my head to be like,
I
pirates
feel
and
like
merchants. Like,
the last few sets have been more like Tales of Aria. Like, if you know the lore of Tales of Aria, all three heroes in that set, of course, when you're playing limited, you're fighting each other, but I think in the lore that would just be like sparring because they're all on the same side. In Rosetta, Florian is characterized as like, the one that's bringing death, and at first Verdance doesn't trust him or whatever, but like they're all on the same side. In Mysteria, all these heroes are from, part of the Mistveil. They're from Mysteria. They're all on the same side. We haven't seen a real bad guy in a while. Okay, maybe Victor or the Brutes could be considered bad, but they're more just probably selfish or Brutes wanting to fight or whatever. We haven't had evil in a minute in the draftable set.
I mean, the Arachnes have got to just be pure evil, right? Like, I don't
Well, they
know.
work with Uzuri, and we don't know if Uzuri is pure evil. They have we don't know necessarily that Solana is pure good either. I don't I don't necessarily think that Arachne is evil because Arachne is also shown in times working with who was it? I can't remember the story. There
It works with, I mean, in lore wise, Arachne's done stuff with Riptide and Missouri, obviously, but I'm trying to think what else. Because they like watch each other's backs, him and Riptide, in at least two of the stories.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I just never clocked them as evil. I know that they're assassins. I know that they, make money killing people. But they're not like, let's sunder the thread that separates this universe from another and bring the demons through. Like, and maybe that's just me wanting them to bring Chain back or something, but like
Well,
I don't think we've seen a pure evil. We need to band together and kill this guy.
I mean, the Chaos
Villain.
Brood took out how many whole cities and were making piles of corpses into monsters? I think that's probably pretty evil. If
Was
I
that
mean,
exactly what was happening?
yeah, in the lore for Up
What
the
I got
Haunted.
from that was that there was, I mean, maybe I read it too fast or something, but there were the Dust Runners and the Chaos Illusionists that definitely set traps and stuff, but they were basically, I thought that it was basically just the Emperor Fang and Syndra and them like raising the towns that were hiding the the people who were trying to go against the Emperor.
No, so when they're well in the last okay, so there was what four story points, and that was like the first couple. But then by the time we get to the end of the third, where they're like riding their horses to death and they're like frothing. So like they're going to go see like why this guy betrayed them, like one of their wizards, and then they hit a town and the town is empty and everyone's dead. And then they like see an undead child. Well, they don't know it's a child. Syndra's just real. She just loves to kill kids. I think she like kills a kid in the woods. They're like, oh, yep, he was totally evil. Nailed it. Oh, I'm so good at this. And then then they get ambushed by the Chaos Brood, and then they end up in the town. When they show up to the town where this wizard's supposed to be, everyone's dead. The entire town is just gone and dead, and there's piles of corpses in vat or bodies in vats and stuff like that. So uh there was either just a whole bunch of murdering or sacrificing or rituals. We don't really get the exact details except for like the pile of corpses coming to life, and then like Fang and Syndra have to fight it. So I don't know. That seems pretty spoopy or evil to me.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I just didn't I don't
Maybe,
know.
yeah, maybe,
I'll
I
have
don't
to
know.
read
Maybe
the end of the again.
yeah, I'd say read it again because that's also why I was really expecting some sort of connection to Demonstria. I mean, because and it's also right there. Like they go as south as possible. Is that whole four-story arc is them continue going south, 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 and due south of them is where all the shadow folks are. So
Hmm.
I don't know, but Yeah, so I don't know that faction wise, yeah, but I mean maybe the Brood are going to be different than like Marionette, right? Like we don't actually know other than the shared name that they actually have that much in common, or like
Yeah.
so. It was just all questions. They only left us with questions. With that, like I don't know. It's kind of frustrating, but it's cool to like postulate and talk about.
Well,
But
it's
I
just
also
hard
just
for
don't
me
know.
because I feel like the Emperor had like there's like good reasons for people to be uprising against the Emperor because like I mean you can see in Brand with Cinderclaw like they have the whole Volkai and Drukai like caste system for lack of a better word, and I don't know, it doesn't seem like a great empire, so I maybe it's just the evil killing evil is and still they're just both evil.
Yeah, well, that's where I was kind of thinking, like, especially with, Syndra just like not even thinking about killing some random kid. I was like,
Yeah, I mean maybe I'm just not clocking Arachne as super evil because I'm not necessarily clocking Fang as Syndra as super good either.
yeah, I don't, maybe, and maybe that's, I don't know. It's just hard to discuss, right? Because there's like 10 arachnes now. Well, right? Because like the Chaos Brood is its own thing. So I think maybe it's
Yeah,
more
I
the
have no
Chaos
idea.
Brood is evil versus, solitary confinement, or the Huntsman. The Huntsman himself or itself could be completely different. We just don't know. But I don't think we've seen the Huntsman be as evil as the Brood has been.
No. No, not if the Brood is actually going and clearing out towns, which I didn't get. And also I didn't necessarily think that I guess I just don't understand, is chaos the thing that makes undead? Is that because they don't really have anything to do with undead in the chaos cards? They didn't actually give us a whole lot of chaos cards. The only actual chaos cards are Schism of and Spurlocked.
Right.
So like maybe chaos is the necromancer or undead talent and they were just hiding it. Just they show off the beginning of chaos talent and then actually give us the chaos cards in the next set.
Yeah. I think more back to like Sutcliffe though. Like I think if we were well, if there was gonna be anyone who's close to being like a big powerful necromancer, it's gotta be Sutcliffe. And
But he's dead.
right. But his head's reanimated. He's a mentor. Right? So
Yeah.
so we've got some raising the dead, we've got some or I guess is that raising it's gotta be or communing with the dead.
Well, he
There's
he rose Viserai from the dead with the Arknight shard, but that's about it.
well yeah, but his head, right? He's got a talking head. Sutcliffe.
Yeah, but does that make him a zombie or does that make him like I don't know, a lich? I guess a lich is a zombie.
Yeah, it's just a magic zombie. So that's why I'm thinking undeath is kind of already in play to some degree. And I think they're just gonna probably wrap it under shadow. Would be
Maybe.
my guess. Yeah. Just to not make things because like having shadow versus undeath, but also having like weird undead creatures in both. I don't know. They seem to like to consolidate and it helps you know make new heroes more powerful at the gate if they have got like a back catalog of cards to pull from. So
Speaking
yeah,
of better catalogs to pull from, the Max Nitro deck that is causing all the sales to skyrocket for your Bright Lights singles. Like the two M reveals that they showed, Clamp Press and Bank Buster, they have got me excited. So Clamp Press I doesn't seem to necessarily do anything with Bank Breaker aside from the fact that it says your wrenches get +2. I think the reason that they showed these two off together is because I think you're somehow going to like build Bank Breaker with the clamp press. Like I'm hoping that there's some kind of way that is like I don't know. That because it talks about having a card underneath of it, and generally you would get a card underneath of another card by like putting something by like putting the Bank Breaker on top of Banksy or something. And I'm not necessarily sure. I mean, I guess the text of this doesn't say that it can't just start and play, but how's he
Oh,
going to
because
get
it's not
things
a
under
token.
it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a token. So I mean, how does he get things under it? That's the big question for me.
Yeah, I don't know. And I was kind of looking at the clamp press originally kind of as, I mean, that's just the top of Bank Baker, right? Like,
Well, it could be a giant one.
one.
I can't really
Yeah.
tell the scale.
Well, that's where I was going to get to. Is the scale of that clamp press looks ridiculous. So I don't know if that's supposed to like symbolize. I don't know because he doesn't get like a huge mech suit that would be able to hold something. I mean, at that point, you'd have to be like a Gundam, I think, to wield a wrench that big. But
Well,
I
he
don't know.
does have Nitro Mechanoid, but I don't know if they'll actually print Nitro Mechanoid in his deck because that's like, I mean, it is just a Majestic, but there's like 3 different versions in Dynasty. I don't know that they'd print another version of it.
Yeah, and it's a cheap deck. The MSRP for this armor deck is only $40. When we look at, I mean, Jarl obviously had a legendary, but I think Jarl came in at was a 60 or 70? 70, I think. I
Well,
forgot what
see,
it was.
people would tell you that that's all a scam because they should have just printed legendaries with everything and not made any difference in the price. But
Yeah.
I feel like sometimes people don't understand how the market is supposed to work, and if they print like a legendary in the deck where people will buy the deck just to get that legendary to play for their Starvo LL deck, it's like not the same as a regular armory deck.
Yeah. I don't know. I was just really thrown off by how cheap it was, I think. I was really just anticipating it to cost more. So in my head, that means we're probably not getting too many crazy new cards if it's at this price point.
Well, I mean, there's going to be 3 copies of Clamp Press in it, and then there's probably going to be 3 copies of some other new M, and then maybe 3 copies of a new rare. But outside of the equipment, they don't generally put that many new cards into these armory decks. The Origins one had a bunch, but like we said, that's the Origins one.
Yeah, I'm just trying to pull up a couple other decks to see where they started off at. Jarl was wait, the credits 60. It was 60. Okay, I thought it was more than that. I mean, $20 difference for a single legendary. That seems like a lot.
No, it's not just a single legendary, because if you look at, so like for example, the KO Armory deck, it had the Majestic Strength Rules All, and it had the rare Run Roughshod, and that was it. Everything else was a reprint. The Jarl deck has the legendary, in addition to all the other equipment that was brand new as well, and then also had uh the Unforgetting Unforgiving, Crumble to Eternity, Frozen to Death, Channel Mount Eisen. Uh, that might have been all of it, but those are all Majestic power level cards. So I mean, it's not just the legendary.
Yeah, I'm wondering. Maybe they'll stick with the differential of like Armory decks versus Armory deck origins. Because if all the Armory deck origins were $60, that'd be kind of cool. Like every time they brought in a new hero, because maybe that's just when you need it more, right? You need the support of new majestics, new legendaries with potentially a brand new hero that may not have back catalog. So
Yeah, I don't see why not, because to me, an Armory deck Origins is like a really good place for somebody to buy in, because a lot of those cards just end up getting played in the deck anyway, just because like they just work. So I mean, sure, you got to go back and get your channel like Frigids and whatever, but I still think it ends up being cheaper than a lot of other decks.
yeah, I guess they're all $40. Oh, yeah, but I don't know. I'm excited. I mean, I don't know. Outside of the origins and maybe Azalea, like, have any Armory decks really popped? Because like
I
I
saw
forget that Bulk
somebody
Duel
trying.
exists.
I saw somebody that said something like, "Oh, Armory deck KO for 75," but I don't think that is how it is, because it might be gone, but who knows? Wow. Yes, I mean, I guess Armory deck KO has been bought out. That's expensive now. Um, that's $100.
Oh
I
wow.
don't know. It's only sold at. It looks like the high it's sold. No, no, somebody bought it at $100. There's been $100 sale, an $80 sale, $80. Yeah, multiple people have paid $99.99 for this KO deck. So yeah, it looks like they. I mean, I'm glad I got mine.
What was in the KO deck that makes it worth $100?
Probably the fact that you can't get them. But
Huh.
so I mean, there's several equipments. Like all the equipment is new in there. Like the Savage Sash specifically. The Savage Sash by itself is $32. Um, Strength Rules All is $1 for the regular one, $2 for the rainbow one. Uh, Run Roughshod, I would guess, is probably $1 or something. I don't see why it wouldn't be. The Hide Tanner, I don't understand why it's only $1. And the only reason I say that is because KO is more of an aggro deck than Rhinar is, and a lot of people would just be using like the Apex Bone Breaker. But I actually feel like if you're playing a deck that doesn't want to block, you should just use Hide Tanner, because then you get 2 Might tokens in the same turn. So I mean, I think sometimes there are budget options that people just don't do because they don't know how to be like, okay, well, if I don't have the money to play Apex Bonebreaker, that means that I can't block as well, so I should play a more aggressive deck and do more aggressive things. Like, I guess that's a bit of a tangent, but here we are. Oh yeah, the Run Roughshod is $6.
Oh wow.
Let me see what the rainbow foil is. It would not surprise me if the rainbow foil was actually kind of crazy, just for the simple fact that it's a blue. TCG player just breaking right now. Yeah, the rainbow foil Run Roughshod's $13. So yeah, I mean, I feel like if you would have bought KO Armory decks at like $60, you could probably make a killing nowadays. If you just like held them and then busted them open, much like I think they all will be like that soon. Which is part of the reason why I told you that I wanted to buy uh the Hidden Agenda purple so bad. Nobody uses it.
It's cheap. Well, cheapish.
It keeps going down. I'm
Yeah.
waiting for it to get a little bit cheaper. I want it, but like if I'm gonna spend that much on a card, I kind of want the Dragon Scalers first. It's actually a deck I would play them in. Although I would probably play the Hidden Agenda purple because I use the Azalea deck like pretty often. I'll play the Armory deck Origins just the way that it was built against other Armory or the other Armory decks against Azalea or whatever. So I guess I would use it. I don't know. It's a sick card. I love stuff like that that is just like, oh, it's exactly the same except this is the purple one and it was only in one of X boxes or however often it shows up or whatever. It just looks better.
I guess I would have to see it in person because I don't think, like, I don't know. I've not been too impressed with the look of it on TCG Player. It doesn't tickle my brain. Because yeah, I mean it is just kind of like a recolor, but I don't know. I was expecting it to be a bit more for
Well, I
what it
mean, you got to
is.
take into account that it's a rainbow foil, so it's really hard to just be like looking at a picture and be like, yeah, that's exactly what it's going to look like because
Right.
it'll have.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
The foils are crazy. Yeah.
To me, I think that it'll end up looking sort of like a I don't know, like a puddle of gasoline.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I like the idea. Actually, I don't like the idea. Weiss says the same thing, and I think maybe they tested it with Azalea and then didn't like it either. But like in Weiss, you'd have to buy like a whole case of starter decks, and then like yeah, one of like 20 would have like a special edition of one card, and then I don't know.
I think
Then
it's
the
cool
singles don't
because
look as good.
I think it's cool because I know for a fact that there's people that are like, if they know that it's like that, they'll crack open these like if you put that into an armory deck and then you send out the armory decks and then there's people that don't want to spend $40 on the armory deck because they already play the hero and they just want the 3 cards out of it that are new, then they are creating a market and a reward for the person who invests into that market by saying, hey, crack all of these open and you'll be able to sell the singles and get better money because whenever you pull the purple one, you'll sell that to somebody else for $50 right there.
Yeah, but you have to buy a lot, and there's just no way you're getting your money back from the deck singles. Is the problem? Like, there's just no financial reason to
You
do it.
say that, but can't, I mean, are you sure?
They just have bad sell-through rates. Like, if you so that was a problem I was running into where when I was trying to price out armory decks, was you would be like, oh, the prices are good. A lot of them are sometimes 2 or 3 times higher than the same card, not from that deck, and then you got to realize like, oh yeah, but they've only sold one like in 3 months versus the same card selling for like a cheaper price. So it's really hard to price out without having a better way of seeing. I really wish I knew that. I remember the term. There's a term for like when a sale, like the rotations of how well a card sells. Like, I mean, because like if I buy 20 of those decks, right? Maybe 3 of those cards will sell, and then the rest, like in theory, and their potential based on TCG lows, you feel like you're gonna break even, but you probably have to manually reprice every single card in those decks to actually move them. So it's just a lot of effort. When you can just buy one single and just call it a day.
True.
Yeah.
But I mean, also listing a lot of bulk is a lot of work too. I feel like we should revisit these deck prices once the Guardian Mastery Pack comes out, because by that point, Origins Jarl should be dried up. And if they don't print every new card from Origins Jarl into Guardian Mastery Pack, which I don't think that they will, I think that we can see some real action on the rainbow foil stuff like Frozen to Death and Channel Mount Eyes and whatnot, because I mean, even the non-foils will be good, but I'm really expecting a little bit of Guardian dominance after this Guardian Mastery pack, and if the exclusive way to get some of these singles is in the Armory deck, and the KO Armory deck is $100 for no good reason right now.
Yeah, it doesn't even
Be-
make sense.
because they're gone. So I mean, you would think more would show up on the market for $70-$80 just because. If they're, if they're up there for $100, it's because nobody has them.
Yeah. Oh. Oh yeah, and I got my. Well, this will be a spoiler for mail call. I got my. A bunch of my frozen to deaths have been coming in.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So.
I do think that is a good one to stack up on.
I'm happy. I'm happy about sniping the loyalty beyond the graves in rainbow foil. Even if I sniped you, I'm sorry about that, but they've already doubled.
Oh, I don't really care. I was telling you, right? Did you do that after I told you about them?
Well, you were telling me about the price, but you had filtered differently than I filtered. We filter different ways.
Oh,
so, because you were asking about the price or something, and I told you, you're like, oh no way, they're not only $12, they're $16. And then I was like, wait, if the non-foils are 16, and I was like, bye bye, and I bought both of them. I think they ended up being under $12 a piece for the rainbow foils.
And they're probably over 20 now, yeah.
Yeah. Yep. So I might even just turn them around already. I don't know. Well, I don't know.
You should. I mean, you just doubled your money. Just friggin' double your money. Damn.
Yeah.
Actually, to be honest with you, if you already spent the time to like buy those foils, I think people are still waiting for the second wave, and I have a sneaking suspicion that there might not be one, just for the simple fact that it's like where is it? Because I'm hearing that a lot of LGSs are getting limited to like 1 to 3 cases a month or something like that. So that's like 4 to 12 boxes a month.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's low. That's real low.
Yeah, it's really bad. People aren't necessarily happy about it, but there's no way there's not a second wave. Like, well, I mean, the fact that the distributors were already talking about there being a second wave, I think, is at least.
I just know that distributors are greedy people, and once they get that second wave, like I don't think that the drip is going to get much faster if they can get people to pay for it.
Well, yeah, and that's the concern, right? We don't want the channel fireball situation to happen again, but I don't think.
No, but how many times do you hear? So, I mean, I've talked to LGSs that will get like an email from one of their reps, and they'll be like, "Hey, we got all these boxes. Would you be interested in this box, this box, this box, this box at these prices?" And it's like shit that's been out of print for years.
Yeah.
And it's like they always have more of something. They're just waiting for whatever people will pay more, you know? At least I think.
I think a lot of well, they do a lot of buybacks too. So like when stores go under, a lot of times the distributors will buy it back at a lower rate, like your sealed product, and that's how. I know Rudy's talked about that a couple times because he'll get a call from his distributor like, "Hey, we got 2 pallets of this old crap," and it's because like another store had to sell it back or went under. So they're kind of just middlemaning. Like they're taking a second. I mean, they're still taking like a second cut, right? Because paid up front, you took your percentage, you buy it back cheaper, resell it, take your second cut. So it's good business for them to do it. But Channel Fireball was straight up hoarding. Like,
yeah, Channel Fireball like almost single-handedly ruined LSS's reputation in America at the very least, so.
Yeah. Oh well. Rest in peace. Or was it rest in piss? You won't be missed.
Yeah, no. I'm glad they're gone. That was That whole Monarch debacle is still insanity, man.
I know. I still cry when I can buy a case for like 60% of what I paid for a single box. Like, that
The sad
hurts.
part is that I still really like Monarch, and I still think about like, man, would I buy Monarch Unlimited at like $25 a box? Like, would I buy a case of Monarch Unlimited for $100? And I think the answer is yes.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I do for $50 a box, pretty much. It's
Well, you told me the other day when I was like, "Dang, look how cheap Unlimited is." You're like, for like $10 more, you could get first edition. Why would you mess with
Oh,
Unlimited?
that's true. Well, yeah, yeah. There would be some caveats, like if unlimited was at 25, and then first edition was at 30, then I would just splurge. But like the EVs were also a lot different for those, so it was like the cards were worth twice as much in first edition as unlimited, but the boxes are only a couple dollars apart. Like I'm going big money.
True. So, speaking of big money, in the dumpster where Monarch is, the dumpster
Dumpster
dive.
dive. I didn't
I
actually.
I think this is actually one of my favorite dumpster dives in a while. There were some good decks on there that I enjoyed.
I
Like,
didn't get to read through it too much. I just
oh, of
kind of
course
skimmed it.
not.
Oh, I mean, I figured out about it like 20 minutes before stream. It came out yesterday. Like, I didn't even have the time to look at it.
No, it was nice. I thought it was funny, the Oh Hi Mark deck, and it's just like I've never seen that movie. I guess I don't think I need to see it. I think it's just like a universally panned movie that people watch because it is horrible and laugh at it. Uh, but I know there's a scene where somebody says "Oh hi, Mark," so that's fun. But
I like the idea of the Guardian deck with no Guardian cards.
yeah,
Um,
Guardian.
yeah. That's the kind of funny meme deck that I real appreciate.
Well, the best
That's
part is
fun.
that it's actually like it's probably pretty decent, for a commoner deck. I mean, it's still just Bravo smacking you with big cards that probably have dominate. I mean, Pummel's a generic card too.
Yeah, yeah, but
The but they had the Boom Wish Sun Dash is like I took a note down because I wanted to make sure that I mentioned it. I mean it won the prize of nothing for being the best deck of the week or of whatever it was. I guess is it a weekly dumpster dive? I don't think. But anyway, uh it's one of the better ones I've seen in a while. Like it's very interesting. I would have never thought to use Sun Wish and Sun Kiss and Moon Wish in in Dash, even though you can get your AP back, which is very hilarious.
I don't think I ever realized those were probably designed to be. Oh my gosh, like design wise, I think. Yeah, Sunkiss, Moonwish. Oh
They
yeah,
were
yeah,
made together in Arcane Rising.
yeah.
It was a decent thing you could draft into as like a Kano deck because you could play the like if you get the Sun Kiss, or no, is it whichever one's the non-attack action off the top.
Yeah, yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, yeah. No, okay, yeah. The Ohio mark. Yeah, that's good times. No, I don't know. I like. I want the deck to match a little more, but
Well, they didn't even put any mark payoffs. They didn't put any reason to like extra damage when marked or nothing.
no. The payoff is Ohio mark.
Yeah. Oh,
That's
hi,
it. That's
Mark.
it. Yeah, that's it. That's the end of it.
The payoff is mental illness.
Yeah, just a little bit of brain rot. Kind of reminds me of the what was it, Borderlands 4? Or was it 3? I think it was 4. 4 they had a whole zone based around Tommy Wiseau, and you had to like premiere his really bad movie.
That
Do a
sounds
bunch of
horrible.
bandits. Yeah.
I don't. I don't know. I didn't feel like there was a time I really liked Borderlands, and then I feel like it fell off.
4 wasn't too bad. 3, I think, was just the peak. I just don't think it's. Or was
I
it
think
2?
I don't know which one it was, but it's like you started out in like this low gravity area. Like I hated that one.
Oh, the pre-sequel is probably the most universally hated out of all of them. It was
Oh
bad.
yeah. I mean, it like I saw it and I was like, because it was one of those times where it's like, oh, I like Borderlands. This says Borderlands download.
Yeah.
And then I was just like, oh my God, why do I hate this?
The Australians, actually. It's everyone down under. No, they outsourced that one to their Australian branch for uh, whatever that studio is. It's not Take Two. Who is it? It's Gearbox. Gearbox. Yeah, Gearbox Australia did
Australia is
it.
where it was where things go to die.
Yeah.
That's the funniest thing. Just on a total sidebar, I was listening to Josh Johnson's comedy today. He was talking about Drake went to Australia for the Super Bowl. I had no idea that he did a concert in Australia during the Super Bowl.
Oh, what? Me
I,
neither.
I find I find that hilarious. Yeah, I mean, obviously he's a comedian. He's doing a joke. I'm not trying to steal his jokes, but like, he's like, yeah, Drake went down there to do a concert so that he knew at least these people didn't watch the Super Bowl.
I mean, didn't he start chatting up like the 12-year-old Millie Bobby Brown in Australia? Wasn't that where that all started?
We
The
don't need to
whole.
go down there, but I mean,
Yeah.
Kendrick told everybody at the Super Bowl, so
Right. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's just that it all comes back to Australia. Maybe Australia is the true evil. It's the world.
that's where Rupert Murdoch came from. So you're not going to hear me argue about it.
uh, all right.
Started off as a bunch of criminals, and they still are.
Oh, I can't remember. I guess we didn't. I guess we kind of started with the Road to Nationals week too. Um, how many
Well,
more weeks?
speaking,
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
well, I was gonna say, speaking of tournaments, uh, how do you feel? Because you're the one that loves to talk about the drama and bring up the drama. Do you think that it's a huge misstep for them to bring out those promos, like the promo Valda and the three new cards, Draw a Crowd, what is it called? Draw a Crowd, Promising Terrain, and Batter to a Pulp will all be released as promos like right before what is it, that Pro Tour, or is it Worlds or something like that? And then they won't be available at all until August. So you have to go and like top four something or buy it from somebody, or you can't have those promo cards. And some people are particularly heated because Batter to a Pulp says can't be prevented if damage is four or more, and crush destroying equipment with null value. And that seems like for a Guardian would be very, very good into Enigma. So some people have got a hair up their ass about that.
Oh, I didn't hear that. So it's like the Blaze situation, but worse. Is
Yeah,
like,
because adult
yeah.
Valda is the prize, and then top four, like, so winner gets the gold foil in Valda or something like. Hold on, I might be talking incorrectly. I've got to look at the picture I sent you. Hold on. So I don't think Valda is the winner prize, but maybe it could be. Uh, I wish I could find it.
The
Okay, I'm not gonna.
it's draw a crowd here. Wait, I got it. I got it. We got this. We're moving. We're shuffling. Please load quicker.
Well, anyway, I'm not gonna focus on Valda, but you basically, so it says participation promos. There's 16 of them, and then the top eight gets battered to a pulp. So like you have to get top eight three times, or buy them off people who did top eight, or you just don't have that card until Guardian Pack comes out. because we're assuming that these cards will all be in Guardian pack, which they should be.
Yeah, that would make the most sense.
But this will be something that you can get much sooner.
That is a bad decision. I don't like that. Yeah, no. That's some really weird timing.
I feel like I don't necessarily care. And I don't know if my opinion is valid or not, because I mean, I don't know how many people are actually like me, because I mean, I'm good enough at the game. I have done well before. I buy cards. Like, if I wanted to play Guardian, I mean, this stuff being a promo wouldn't stop me. I would be ordering it. I would be buying it from somewhere. I already buy singles sometimes. I feel like.
Well, no, the problem is just going to be the price is going to collapse 2 weeks after or whatever, the time difference is. People are going to pay a premium so they can compete for 2 weeks, and then everyone
Well,
has
even
it,
when
right?
even when the normal one comes out, this will still be the EA Rainbow foil. So I'm not really sure what the big deal is.
Well, yeah,
Like
but
any
the
like
value will
seriously,
drop. It won't hold that value.
I know, but all the people that are like complaining about like, oh, Battered to a Pulp's a promo, like you're thinking of it from the value, and the people that are complaining about it, I don't think are complaining because of the value. They're complaining because, oh, I've got to buy this card instead of opening it from a.
Well,
I'm
no,
telling you
oh,
now, the
that's.
reason that people's panties are in a bunch is not because the promo's value will go down when the normal one comes out. It's because they can't just have it.
Well, I'm just saying it's going to be so artificially inflated. Like, you're going to have to spend. I would be surprised if it's less than like 4 times what it ends up like when the rest of the cards come out.
I feel like
Like,
you might be overestimating how many people want to play Guardian or that like want that card that bad right now. Because for one, it costs 6. Yeah, I can't read. I don't know what its power is. I wish I knew what its power was. If that's a 10, it kind of looks like it could be a 10. If that's a 10, then we're talking. That card kind of cooks. But I don't
I
know what it is.
we're gonna. Oops, shit.
I mean, if it's a 10, then it's like power crept Thunderquake, and that's pretty good.
I mean, that's 2 digits. That's at least a 10.
Yeah, I mean, the card kind of cooks, but I don't think that many people play Guardian to make it like super crazy. Because I mean, we know Michael Hamilton can pilot a Jarl, plenty like Jarl is a competitive deck, and yet the prices of his singles are not totally astronomical like Syndra or Viserai or any other top tier hero. In fact, Jarl is barely represented at all, much like other Guardians.
Yeah, but how many heroes pop off with just one good card? Like, I don't know. I would probably want to look at the Guardian deck lists and see like could one of these three completely change it, or even like two or three of them, right? Like,
Batter to a Pulp is a big deal.
yeah.
Batter to a Pulp is a huge card. I'm not trying to say that it's not. I'm just saying that when I say that there is drama, it's because people will want Batter to a Pulp, and people think that it's unfair that they have to top 8 or buy something from someone who top 8'd to get a card. They don't know that, like, that's what the crux of the
I mean, well,
argument is, the thing that people get upset about. And I think that it's totally valid to, like, why, what is the big deal for them making the prize like actually worth it? Like, don't you think that just is going to increase attendance? Like, I look at this card and I'm like, I really kind of want to try and top 8 that just to get that card. I don't see why that's a bad thing.
no, I mean, well, the problem is just that there's going to be a couple weeks where I mean, you might have to drop, I don't know what, 40, 50, $100 to get one, and then just so you have an advantage for 2 weeks. Like
I don't think it's
that.
going to be $100. I wouldn't
I
pay
mean, it's
$100.
yeah, but there's not going to be a lot. I mean, how many events are a weekend times eight? Like for 2 weeks,
Well, it
who's
says
gonna?
it's for the top 8, so people
Oh,
are
it's
going to
for
get
16. Yeah.
getting
Um,
2 of them. Um I mean, I think there's going to be plenty of them because there's not so there's 16 of them at an event. There isn't 16 Guardian players at that event. I just don't I don't think I think that it'll line up fine.
well,
I bet they don't go higher than 50. And
let's
not to
well,
say that I don't think 50 is a lot too. I wouldn't buy them. I would want to compete for them because I think they're neat and I would want to play and try to get them. But also, on the other hand, I don't think that they're 100% necessary because I don't really know. I mean, if you want to pilot your Victor deck to and like really try to win in that time frame, yes, maybe you should really consider getting that card if you're going to seriously play Victor or any other Guardian. But I just I don't see why people are so upset about it because in the reality where you're not doing competitive stuff like on the edge of like winning money and like trying to do super well and grinding events, just wait for the card to come out in August. Like, what's the big deal?
yeah. Oh, I mean, yeah. I don't know. It seems weird. Like I'm
I'm
looking at
more
the.
upset about Blaze than I am this promo card because Blaze still hasn't come out in a goddamn set.
Yeah, I mean that's the nice thing, but I don't know. This is nearing that like pay to win mechanic where if you pay
It's
extra
already pay to
money.
win. It's already pay
Well,
to win.
I mean, but the early access, pay extra for early access to these cards. It's
Some of the best shit I've ever played was pay to get early access, man. We just played Path of Exile 2 so much, and you know that game is fire. You can't even.
yeah,
If you can pay, like, I think it's more a symptom of, like, if anything, to me, it just shows that they kind of are just like, yeah, we can do this.
yeah.
And
I
I don't
mean,
necessarily think they're wrong because, it gets the people talking, right?
yeah.
I
Well,
mean,
I'm thinking not as much like early access, but like, no. Okay, so 2 WoW patches ago, you could pay an extra like $70 to start a week before everyone else. So all the major guilds, they all pay that, and then of course they all got world first and all that jazz. But like that's the trend that irritates me because really you're paying $70 to be in video games a lot of times you're just paying $70 to be a
it
tester,
sounds
but like
almost like Blizzard resents them and is like making them pay a tax for still playing this godforsaken game.
yeah, well they didn't do it again because it actually completely destroyed the launch for that whole season or that whole expansion.
Oh, the people that paid for early went and did all their world first shit, and then nobody else played because they felt like they couldn't compete.
Well, I mean, they couldn't compete. Yeah, all these people beat the entire expansion in under a week, and then a lot of the hype and the social media growing is like everyone getting on, discovering stuff at the same time. But everyone watched the entire expansion get beat in like 5 days, and then they're like, "Oh, I'll wait for it to go on sale," or like,
I
it's
I guess I could see how that is a big problem, but I don't think the tech card for Enigma. I don't think the Guardian tech card for Enigma being dropped as a DLC content item, we'll call it,
yeah, it's
is
just I don't know.
is
It's
a
a
big deal.
slippery slope. It's a very slippery
We're
slope.
we're playing a game with friggin' booster packs, man. We're playing with money. Like I sometimes I feel like people get caught up in the game part and don't realize like they refuse to like come to terms with the market part and the fact that it is gambling on top of it, and there is this whole infrastructure of people wanting to gamble that keeps people getting paychecks that make the game. And so whenever you have a little DLC content drop that makes the pro players go and grind events because they feel like they have a way to make money, like, I feel like this is just LSS greasing wheels all over the place.
Yeah, well, yeah, I don't know. It's no, well, it's not even greedy for them. Like it doesn't, the pricing and everything just won't affect them. But I'm looking here. I mean, there's maybe what 100 events in week two. How many events are gonna have the top eights for batter to a pulp?
Well, I mean, so if let's say it's
Like
100, so then there's 1,600 copies, so then there's enough for. Oh wow. I better get a calculator. I'm gonna sound like an idiot. 533 guardians. So I mean, if there's 533 people that want a play set of those things and are willing to pay a premium, I would be very surprised. Because there's like, I mean, that's like how many people you could expect to show up at an entire calling. I'm not saying that there's not more than 500 Guardian players. I'm saying I don't think there's more than 500 Guardian players willing to shell $50+ on a card 2 weeks before the regular one that they'll be able to get for $1 comes out.
yeah, I mean, maybe the scene changes too. Like as we get closer. So yeah, when does this drop? But I didn't remember. What's the date for this? For these three.
For the armory pack or those three in the
Those three. The draw crowd. Is it a
I
certain week of?
I think it's the Pro Tour. I think it's in July, but it's like it's in July and then the Guardian pack comes out in August. I mean, hell, even if it's like May or June, it's still only 2 weeks away. Like,
I mean, if it's the first 2 weeks of Pro Tour, then that makes it even worse. In my head, like
worse in what way? Because as soon as we're talking about people that considers themselves pro card game players, like just these aren't the people complaining. I don't think.
yeah.
Like I'll see some people complaining, but they're not like.
I
I
think
don't know. The people who are like, "Oh, I'm not gonna go and do this event because I can't get this promo card because I was gonna play Victor, but now I'm not, so boycotting the event." It's like I'm sorry, but I don't necessarily think you were gonna spike the event anyway. Then I feel like this is not something that is going to turn away truly competitive people. It is going to do the
no.
opposite because it's something to play for.
Yeah. Well, I'm just thinking. Everyone has the propensity to play multiple heroes. And I'm trying to think by July, which heroes make it off of Living Legend? Does Guardian
Oh, Viserai will
look
be
better?
gone.
Right. And
Viserai will be gone, and who else?
uh,
Zen could be gone. If Zen and Viserai are both gone, Guardians do look a lot better. But then also Enigma looks a lot better. So yes, if you do want to play Guardian, I can bet you that you will want Battered to a Pulp. And once again, my argument is not that Battered to a Pulp isn't going to be a great card, especially at promo. It's going to be very sought after. I'm more just saying I think that's kind of cool. Just screw it.
I
Like
don't know.
not like it's not
No,
like this is the Yu-Gi-Oh championships where the champion gets one card that's like a one of one or a one of three or out of however many times it got awarded as the single championship prize, and it's like a $6,000 card. It's something that's like fairly obtainable, but with a little bit of a premium to act as like, this paid for my gas and hotel or something if I needed to go somewhere to play for this.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I guess I didn't really think of it affecting the casual. Like in my mind, it's just unfair to competitive players, like the people who are actually traveling around doing events. Because I mean, you're just getting nickel and dimed, right? Like LSS isn't even going to make money. You're just going to pay premium to get a card 2 weeks earlier that for no
Well, we're
reason.
still just speculating on how premium that is. Like how like we've never seen this situation before. We don't know how many Guardian players have the appetite to even like gamble on like, yes, this deck is that good. I'm buying this card. These 3 tech cards for Enigma is what's going to be the difference between me taking this shit home or not. And to be
Yeah,
fair, it could be. But
I
you know
mean,
what?
I don't know.
I just don't care because they already did Blaze, and Blaze is so much worse because she was immediately one of the best heroes in Blitz, and it was like if you wanted to play Skirmish and you wanted to play Wizard, you needed to go and buy Blaze. And that's fine. I don't have a problem with it. I'm just really annoyed at how many people seem to have a problem with this more than they had a problem with Blaze, and it's simply because they don't think Blitz is a real format, and I'm still so sick of that.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I think LSS is really good about. I think they know in their heads where these heroes living legend out, and I don't know the timing of Guardians finally popping off with these like coming out and in the first 2 weeks Pro Tour. It's just unnecessary. I don't like it. The casual players mad about it are the same people that look at cost of the decks for why they're bad, right? Like they're like, oh well, if I would have had a $1,600 deck, I definitely would have won. It's like, no, dog, you can't pilot anything. Like, you know,
No.
right? Like those are the people that are probably complaining about it, and they just need a new thing to complain about. I think from the competitive side of things, though, it's pretty dirty. Well,
I don't know, man. I think it goes both ways because it's just like as much as you're saying it's a bad thing that it's going to cost a premium, I'm saying it sounds like it's just going to be a good prize. Sounds like it's just a really good prize to go win. As much as you're like, I was bad for competitive players, these are the same players that want to go try to win the shit and sell it.
yeah, I'm actually kind of curious. I was just thinking, I wonder how like the teams do things like that. So right, because like a lot of teams aren't buying their own cards, right? They're usually sponsored by a shop or something, and they get the
Oh,
cards that way,
as
right?
soon
Oh,
as those top 8 prizes are handed out, there's going to be somebody there going, X amount of dollars. Hey, you don't want that card, and I'm right here. I need him. There's
no, oh no, no. I was just thinking like there are limited Guardian players, but like only one person on your team has to hit top eight, and then your Guardian player is good for week
well, no,
two
you
or
need
whatever.
2. You need 2. You need 3
Oh
copies.
well, yeah. I bet you could manage with two. I don't know if worst comes to worst, but no, I mean it's still
I mean,
that
it's a
makes it
10 bonk with really good text on it. I
right.
I definitely, maybe I'm underselling it because I was saying that I don't care that it's a prize, but it's especially now that I know for sure it's a 10. It's really quite a good card.
Yeah, well, no, I was just saying like it's maybe not as hard to get when in reality you just. I mean, if one of your teammates hits top eight, you've got most of it. So it's not like
Yeah,
you have to hit top eight
I
necessarily.
just really don't think there's going to be more competition for wanting the card than there is going to be supply for the card. I wouldn't. Yeah,
Oh,
I don't know.
I don't know about that. I definitely think it's gonna be
I really
that.
like Guardian, and that is why I feel like it's just the less popular class. I always like something that's less popular, except for Syndra so far. Syndra might be the first one that I've really liked that was like the meta deck.
Yeah, well, Syndra's also kind of broken, so I don't know. We're gonna see, which we did talk about, right? Like, because we talk about, I mean, well, we saw the week 2 numbers for Return to Nationals. Like, she's, and let's see, how many points she at? Yeah, 2 weeks in, she's at 196 Living Legend points already. Immediately,
Oh yeah.
yeah, on week 2, the 21 slot. So
Well, I mean, we've
it's
got a
only
hero that everybody thought was broken as hell in Zen, and who's still good after several bans. And I mean, he's still taking some home. And yet, you've got 5 Zen winners and 21 Syndra winners. I mean, people were
yeah,
complaining about Zen. People still complain about Zen. I still see people, like, I can't wait until Zen LLs, and it's like they're like in love with Syndra, and I'm like, do you see yourself, bro?
yeah. I don't
I
know.
like I love Syndra. I guess I should say more than anything, I love Flick Knives and Blood Splattered Vest because it's just an absolutely broken combo and Mask of Momentum. But listen, between Blood Splattered Vest, Mask of Momentum, and Flick Knives, she has the most oppressive gameplay loop. It is nasty because she's just throwing damage at you, and you've got to. I mean, she is the reason they had to make Shelter from the Storm. Um, Frankly, I'm surprised that mechanologists aren't doing better because of Syndra is so widespread. I mean, there's so many Syndra and so many Viserai in the meta. Like, if you're like just like put 3 dispersion shield in your deck, the one that says like anytime you take 1 damage, prevent that damage. Like, there's so many pings. Like that card's probably $1 million right now.
Yeah, we talked about Flick Knives potentially being banned, or discussing it being banned. We were comparing it to Oldhim and Crown of Seeds. So I looked, and that's when I realized that they banned Crown of Seeds after he already had Living Legends. They actually banned Crown of Seeds when no meta deck, or no, not even no meta, no legal constructed deck could even play it. Because they were concerned. They said that they didn't want another meta as dominating as Hold'em, is what they say in the ban notes for that one. So that was interesting. So, if they
It was
do,
also even like I get that they said that, but I mean, they're not doing a very good job. I mean, they are now, you
yeah,
know, but like before Hunted, I would say no, they were not doing a very good job at that.
yeah. So, but I was gonna say, like, if they were gonna ban Flick Knives, maybe they let Syndra have her, time in the sun, and then
Syndra is going so fast that I mean, I don't know, man. They're gonna ban something.
which in the same ban notes for Crown of Seeds, they did one of their early, like, what did they ban? They banned, was it Berserk? I think.
Mm.
And then people were like, "Why do you ban Berserk? That doesn't make sense. That doesn't fix the problem." And they're like, "Well, it's crucial to this one chain, and like,
It's like
you don't have."
Savage Sash came out 5 minutes later.
Yeah, yeah, but I don't know. I think it's more in their vein of banning or neutering to like pick one color of the three and ban that, or not necessarily the big cards as much as a common or rare that kind of interacts with them or makes it work as well. So they don't want to.
Yeah, I mean, I get where you said they didn't. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense that they didn't ban it until after Oldhim was gone, but I feel like they can't do that again. I mean, they left him for a pretty long time, honestly. And I don't know. We still have to, we have yet to see how long it will take people to get tired of flick knives. But as soon as Viserai out of the meta, Syndra will be the most explosive thing possible. Viserai could do some real crazy shit with Mordred Tide and had plenty of other good cards. Snuff out whatever. Several good cards. But when he's gone, those aggro players are gonna go looking for a home, and it's probably gonna be Syndra. And it's only a matter of time before people really start talking about it, I think. Because if you don't draw your shelter from the storm whenever she starts doing her shenanigans and she blows up on you, it the value that you get out of that trifecta of legendaries that I mentioned before is absolutely insane. And I'll be very surprised if we don't start hearing calls for bans after Viserai is gone and people get exposed to Syndra more often. So I think right now the meta is like real spread out. There's a lot of people playing a lot of different things. But Viserai is a big chunk, and Viserai is really strong. And those people will probably just move to the next strongest thing, and that is definitely Syndra.
Yeah, I'm trying to. Well, with the way that they redid the points, I'm wondering if does she live in Legend during the single season again? I thought they made it so that couldn't happen anymore. I
I
thought
don't
they
think that
were.
they can now.
It would be pretty close though. I think. If not one, I mean, even 2 seasons would be a little much. Yeah. Maybe.
I think right now Zen is the worst offender right now. Aurora is pretty high for being. I mean, she's at least further down than New, which is the lowest of the Mistvale heroes. But yeah, I would say Zen is obviously where they screwed up there. But he'll still probably LL as well, and then those people will probably also all well, they might move to Enigma. If I was a Zen player, it'd probably be a little bit easier to move to Enigma with that equipment set. But if they really like Ninja, maybe they go Syndra.
I don't know. I think realistically, you could see Syndra and end the month of March with probably higher than Kano, or easily the top 10. I think by the
I
end of
don't
March.
I don't think she can get 600 by the end of March. If she does, that would
She
be
just
crazy.
needs. Well, I mean, to hit top 10, she just needs to earn 500, less than 500. Well, I don't know. New's gonna climb up there, but 500 over the next 5 weeks, I don't think is too unreasonable at the current pace. Because right now she's averaging 98
Yeah,
a
maybe.
week. Yeah,
I don't know. I actually
that'll be.
wonder if there isn't some Phi spice, because I have been seeing some people playing Phi, so maybe he'll LL soon too.
Yeah, there was what 2 wins in week 2 with Fi.
Yeah, and I think if he has the ability to win, more people will go to him when they find out the deck list or something, because I mean he's still cool, and he's there's probably people that have like plenty of cards to play him, you know. Plus, he
Yeah,
wouldn't use flick knives, or at least I don't think he does. I think he would use Searing Emberblade, in which case the deck is probably cheaper.
I wonder. Here's a crazy. He'll be my out of no or crazy guess is I'm thinking I if Syndra hits 500 points in March, I think we get a out of band ban and something notice, banned and restricted notice, whatever it's called.
Well, what do you think it would be, since you don't think it will be flick knives ever?
I don't know enough about the deck mechanics to be able to guess, but I mean, usually, typically it seems to be any if they're running three of a certain card in their deck, they usually need to kill one of those. But I think with the Cinder decks, they're almost all red, aren't they? Like almost completely red.
Yeah, and to be honest, you know what I could see them like if we were to really make like a good way to slow her down, like neuter her a little bit without getting rid of flick knives, you take away ignite.
Uh, let me pull up a.
Which I would be
Yeah,
kind of upset if they took away ignite. It's one of the coolest arts.
yeah, let me pull up. This is Sean Stanley's. Let's see, Christchurch deck. Actually, I should probably just do this on stream. Let me not look at this. We can look at this together here. Let me get rid of image two. Um,
I can tell somebody that
yeah.
my wife likes just did something cool on Drag Race. I cannot normally hear them, uh, cackling about Drag Race from the back room while I'm doing the podcast, but here we are.
Let me.
Oh, so foil Art of the Dragon Fire is already like 250. You want to foil out this deck, better get to it.
Oh, well, I guess it's kind of off the screen. I don't know if that's still readable. All right, so this is the
Yeah.
winning deck. I think I didn't I ever predict I potentially I was thinking a brand with Cinderclaw.
Well,
Uh,
I just don't think that's a high enough impact. It doesn't matter.
yeah, let me see. So what's Ignite?
Ignite. Ignite
It's
is the one that is a 0 cost 2 attack with go again that says the next draconic thing you activate costs 1 less, which basically gives them a free dagger activation.
I just don't think they would do a Majestic if they don't have to. I think they're out of bands.
I'm telling you, anything else that they ban in this deck is just going to get replaced with something else. And I would honestly be actually, you know what it could be that would like just piss me off more than anything? If they ban Blaze Headlong because they made Oath of Loyalty. I would actually be pissed off about that. But I could see it. Because Blaze Headlong is really good. If you played another red card, it gets go again, so for 4 go
Yeah.
again. And then you can see an over 4 go again with block 3 in Oath of Loyalty, but the stipulation is that you have to play it as the first action of the turn, and then once you play it, you can only play Draconic cards. Um, to be
How
honest,
many?
you know what card I would really love to see them ban, and might piss people off? Fucking ban Ravenous Rabble. We talk about like, oh, they banned Plunder Run because everybody was using it.
Yeah.
Ravenous Rabble has been that offender that nobody talks about for a while now. Like most cards that are forego again have a bigger stipulation than just don't play blues. Like Ravenous Rabble is a reason this is a red line deck and a reason that they don't play blues and they play very little yellows because they want their Ravenous Rabble to be 4 every time. You know what they could really do to fix deck lists? Ban this shit.
Yeah, I would think like from a design side, how many other decks does this screw over? Like, I mean, it's gonna be Azalea, right?
I mean, Azalea would lose it. I don't know how many other people play it. All I know is that Ravenous Rabble has been a staple for a long time, and out of all the cards that are like this deck is a red line deck that was built red line specifically so that Ravenous Rabble would be 4 every time. Like there's no other reason to not play blues because you're just sort of like shooting yourself in the foot regarding your kunai by not playing blues if you don't run Ravenous Rab or when you run Ravenous Rabble, I should say. And it's just, I don't know. If you wanted to talk me off the ledge about Flick Knives and like try to think about a reasonable ban that could bring her in line a little bit, I think Ravenous Rabble is a card that has existed for long enough and has been a staple in deck lists for long enough that it could go.
I mean, they put in 8 different decks and sets. Like, that's crazy. No wonder I have so many of them. I really like that EA though.
And it is expensive.
Yeah, but I mean, this is a lot of decks. Dromai, Riptide, Azalea. Is that another Azalea? Both Azalea decks. Oh, actually, it says right over here. Duh. Yeah, history pack. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I think that might have too much of an impact on other. But I honestly really
But
think
it's a generic card.
yeah.
They banned Belittle, they banned Plunder Run because I don't know, whenever you start saying, "Hey, I'm going to make an aggro deck in Flesh and Blood," and then the first snap decision is, well, fuck the blues, we need to play Ravenous Rabble and Red Lines and 0 for 4s, and that's just the deck. Don't get
I
me
want
wrong, this is great, and I'm glad they figured it out, and I'm glad it fucks and it got them their top. But it's still just I don't like the way I think that Ravenous Rabble can warp decks in the same way that Plunder Run and Belittle would warp decks. Like you're aggro, you play Ravenous Rabble. Yeah.
hmm, how would things go without Lava Vein loyalty?
I mean, it's just a nothing card. I mean,
Right?
they would just replace it with something else. All of these cards are just cards that could be replaced with something else for the most part, except for the stuff that is 0 for 4 go again. And the ones that are 0 for 4 go again in this deck are Oath of Loyalty, Blaze Headlong, and Ravenous Rabble. And the one that I would be least upset about them banning is Ravenous Rabble. Because if you ban Blaze Headlong, then you are literally screwing over Phi 2 for not that good of a reason.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking. Like impact wise, it's realistically only going to affect 2 or 3 versus
Because if they
Ravenous,
ban,
which
well, that's the whole thing. Is I'm not worried about protecting multiple decks from being a card getting banned. I don't care if every casual player in the country plays Ravenous Rabble and they get it banned. You're playing casual at home. Leave it in your deck then. I don't care. When we're talking about the pro scene and everybody, going and competing, I'm a little bit sick of seeing Ravenous Rabble. Like, I don't like that let's just not play blues just because we're gonna squeeze every single piece. I just don't like it. And it's really the only thing I guess the way that it sticks in my crawl makes me feel like it's the only thing that really makes sense if you were gonna hit something to try and make the deck a little more in line. And it tracks because out of all the things that they ban, I feel like they do tend to ban the generic things that end up in several decks.
well, let's see. Counting blessings was really just 2 decks, right?
No.
Uh, the that color of it. Which one did they ban?
If you were
The
playing Count Your Blessings, you played all the colors. However, they banned the blue one specifically because Enigma was very good because she could play the blue one and then that turns on her Transcend and everything, which is the same for Nu. If Nu was playing Count Your Blessings, she could also Transcend and blah blah blah. So they banned the blue one because it was especially good with Transcend. That doesn't mean that Teklevossen and other Guardians and other Assassins and what have you all play Count Your Blessings still. So, I mean, Count Your Blessings There were several decks that tried to play a fatigue strategy, and they didn't like that, so they got rid of the Count Your Blessings blue. So it's like, okay, if you want to be on the Count Your Blessings strategy, it's a little bit harder now. They got rid of Belittle because every single deck that was trying to go wide would run 3 copies of Belittle, even at a certain point, like 5 or 6 copies of Belittle was the UK champ deck at some point on Briar, just because, 2 or 3 go again, and then I'm searching up a +3 boost on it, so it's like you're paying 1 for 6 damage or 5 damage, and that's overrate, and to the point where you just ended up, it's like, why would you play anything else? Like, you look at Ravenous Rabble, and it's like, why would I play blues when I've got all these cards that are free, and I'll also have Ravenous Rabble that I don't have to worry about coming in for 2? And
Unless they
I
pull
don't know.
Warmongers.
I want to see. Whenever I played Syndra, whenever I play Syndra, whenever I built Syndra, I try to use like all those interesting blue cards that they made, like Knives Out, like Stab Wound, like Concealed Blade. It bothers me how boring this deck is. And it's fine. It's a great deck. It wins. But like, you can't tell me it's not boring.
I wonder if there's. I didn't realize how many they had printed and how many decks it was and how many sets and all that. I wonder if there's also, because it feels like, all right, I'm going to make a comparison to like Soul Ring, right? Soul Ring probably should have been banned, but it really isn't, just because everyone's got like a pile of them, really, right? Because Soul Ring's probably, if not the most reprinted card, like the second most reprinted. And I wonder if they have that, like, that same mentality with Ravenous Rabble, where it's just kind of like,
Yeah,
who
but I
doesn't
mean,
have like,
where was that
yeah.
mentality with Belittle and Plunder Run? Everybody had stacks of those. Like, I mean, that
Oh, how many
I
sets was?
don't think that's an
Uh,
argument.
uh, I don't know. I mean, how many things? Actually, I'm really not sure. I don't pay attention to like the armory
Well,
decks as
generally,
much.
once they decide to ban something, they don't print it anymore. So, like, Belittle was only in Monarch, and then by the time the Tails meta rolled around and it was being used by Briar to frightening effect, they banned Belittle, and then they don't print it anymore. Ever since they banned Plunder Run, they don't print it anymore. Do I think they should stop printing Ravenous Rabble? Yes.
I'm actually just more shocked at how many Ravenous Rabbles I sell based on how many times it's been printed. Like,
Well, I mean, does that back up my point that it is used in practically every deck? Like, I mean, it. I think that it warps deck construction, and I think that it's boring, and I think that that is. I try to stick to reasons that they've said before in the past for when they would ban things, and much like I think Flick Knives encroaches in the same way that Crown of Seeds encroached, I think that Ravenous Rabble encroaches in the same way as Belittle and Plunder Run, where you just look at the card and you go, yeah, that's going in, and then you do your best to not play blues so that it's 4 all the time. And I think we've got a lot of cool blue cards that you should probably try and play.
yeah, I was just noticing it says Wardy, Arianto.
Also, this is the worst first edition foil of all time. I just want to put it
Yeah.
out there. Arcane Rising, first edition, foil Ravenous Rabble. It's just got foil beady little eyes, and
Ooh.
you could almost miss it. You could miss it very easily.
Yeah, that's gross. Hmm.
Well, I think that is about all we had for this week.
Yeah, maybe we'll think it through, but yeah, I'll try and think on what I think should be removed from this deck. I want to do some in all my spare time that I have nowadays with these orders, I kind of want to do. I like doing deck comparisons, just kind of like seeing what comes and goes and what could sub out. This was just kind of like an idea we had, but that'd be interesting to look into. Because I think, yeah, Syndra's definitely gonna get some sort of slap on the wrist.
I think that she has to, and it's people maybe don't see it yet, but she's really, really strong. And as soon as people come off Viserai, and there's more people that just once the people in Talishar start having to play against Syndra every other game, if not every game, then we'll see the calls.
All right, well, let's wrap this up. Any last words?
Yeah, we're just gonna ban the podcast until next week. Then we'll take it off the ban list.